What did you make of the game, mate? 38 points to 18 to New South Wales.
Well, what do you think I made of it? Hey, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, awesome performance by the Blues, particularly in the first 40 minutes. One of the best performances you'll ever see in an Origin game. So I've been around for a while, and they were very dominant. Very dominant, very aggressive, and took the game by the scruff of the neck, right from the beginning of the game. So, and the poor old Queenslanders didn't handle it. So, but halftime was a blessing, I guess, when you talk with Billy and the team, and their second half performance, I guess, gives them some confidence going into Game 3.
Speaking of, was there any standout performer? Mitchell Moses got the player of the match in your mind.
Yeah.
Was there more than one standout?
Oh, I think they all played pretty good, Jimmy. I don't think there was any one player that didn't do their stay proud. To be honest with you, with the Blues and the blue jersey on. So, Mitchell was really instrumental early in the game. I think he had 4 try assists for the whole game, but his kicking game was excellent, and controlled field position. So, I mean, that's the reason why he won the man of the match. But I felt that the forwards were, dominant. I think led by Payne Haas, who had a bit of a point to prove. Angus Crichton, he's in the best form of his life. He's going great guns. Cam Murray early in the game, starting him was that was a great move as well. And then bring Isaiah on, then play them two playing together. Isaiah, playing together in midfield. That was really, really smart. It allowed Reece Robson to control the ball a bit better, less tackles, so the whole performance, and their outside backs, Latrell and Steve Crichton, they're all good, and Dylan Edwards is great as well. So, I mean, you go through the whole 17 players, they were extraordinarily good, well coached through the week, obviously, and, I mean, they were the dominant team by a long way.
Is there the possibility that the 34 points to 0 scars are not going to be able to be healed by Game 3, Mal?
Oh, not really. You put that in the background, you don't forget about that. I don't think. I mean, I wouldn't even be addressing it. I just think you need a better attitude from the Queenslanders, honestly, and they'll be that up at Suncorp. There's no doubt. So they'll come prepared mentally, in particular, and then from that mindset, obviously, they'll perform really well. So it's game on, I reckon. And I've said, I've seen this happen in 44 years I've been involved or seen Origin, so I've been involved in a lot of it all as well. And I go back, you look at Perth, a couple of games we've had at Perth where New South Wales has been extremely dominant, certainly in Game 2. And, so the Game 3 was always, very competitive.
So I think the history books will say that there have been 13 deciders in State of Origin history played at Suncorp Stadium, and New South Wales have won 2 of them. So history is against New South Wales from that point of view. I want to ask you this one, Mal. It felt like, and maybe it wasn't as overt in the first game, but it felt in that second game, especially in that first half, that Queensland were outpowered in the forward pack. Do you think that Billy will be contemplating changes to his 17?
I don't think so. No, they did the job. And I mean, there's always in the back of everyone's mind around 12 versus 13 men in Game 1. And Queensland dominated that game.
Yep.
In the back of everyone's mind, I reckon, and probably the Queenslanders as well, is that they're fairly safe. It doesn't matter if they win or lose the game. But in saying that, the Blues had a point to prove, and they had to win. They were desperate to win, and they showed that. Yeah. But I don't think Billy will change the footy team. He might bring Selwyn back in, depending on his form the next couple of weeks. But I can't see, too many changes to that footy team, really.
No, lots of people having their say, would you believe? But anyway, we'll get to that. We better proofread a few of them, Mal, before we actually put them to air. Still no consideration around Dave Fafita and the individual stat, and they are just that. They're individual stats, but the individual stats that he's putting forward for the Gold Coast Titans?
He's playing great footy at the moment, Dave.
Yeah.
Again, it's based on what Billy and his team needs, to get game 3 done. Again, it's going to be based on mindset, and making sure that they come with a pretty aggressive attitude. I think, and they will do that. And regardless, I mean, again, when you look at Origin, and to me, you've got to stick solid with your group, really. So this is game 3. They've been together for a couple of games. Stability and continuity is really important. Provide there's no injuries, everyone's fit and healthy. They can train the whole week. I think you stay steadfast, and remain loyal to those guys who they'd be embarrassed today, to be honest with you, Jimmy.
Yeah.
They'd be a little bit embarrassed. They'll have their heads down. They'll go back to clubland and they'll try to prove a point. Mate, all those Queenslanders will play really well for their clubs this week if they play. And just hoping they get another opportunity to make amends.
Yeah. I want to go back to your last game as an Origin coach. It was a decider in 2015. It was a dominant performance from Queensland at Suncorp. It's almost like the identical setup, isn't it? It was a victory for Queensland at ANZ Stadium, 11 points to 10, and then a victory for New South Wales at the MCG in Game 2, 52 points to 6. Queensland win the decider in what was Justin Hodges' last game at State of Origin level as well. Remind us of what it was that you did that week to get that team to have that type of performance.
Simply I can tell you this. I don't mind because it's been quite a while now. But simply, I said it was those was it 20, 26 points, 28 points they scored against us.
26
in that game.
26
points in Melbourne. I just remind them that's not us. When you talk about Origin, you talk about game of rugby league, you talk about what you need to get right, which is defensively, and defence is a mindset. And, it's a really important, strong mindset you got to have going into games, and defence leads that, So all those little things, but I just remind them of those 26 points. That's not a Queensland performance. So, Billy will have a different views around how he prepares his footy team, but 38 points against the Queensland team, 30 points up till half time is not the way that Queensland go into Origin games or the way they play Origin games. So, like I said, just a little reminder around that. But I think the players, like I said before, will probably be a little embarrassed by it all, and just want to rip in game 3. And then the Blues got to come back with a similar attitude to that to win the series. So normally, as we know, game 3 are really, terrific games of footy, very competitive, as they always are. So you look forward to even a better performance by both sides.
Yeah, I want to be as respectful as I possibly can to the previous coach of New South Wales, because he's an out-and-out legend, right? But do you think now Billy Slater realises, with Michael Maguire at the helm of New South Wales, that he has an experienced, successful and unbelievably determined foe sitting in the opposite coach's box, which I don't think he's had over the last couple of series, in his first 2 series?
You can argue the point, Jimmy, till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, mate, at that level, it's around your attitude. It's around what's going between your ears. The New South Wales side, Latrell coming back, he had a point to prove. Everyone had a point to prove. That it was, as we said, probably unfair game 1 with 13 on 12 at Origin level. It was difficult for them. They had a bit of a crack, and they were willing to prove to themselves and to everyone else in the state that they were worthy of that blue jersey, and that's how they played last night. And Madge is an experienced coach and understands the rep program now, or the rep process, because he's coached New Zealand as well to success. So I just think I don't think it's a coaching whether it's inexperience or experience. I just feel that if you prepare your team really well, it comes down to the individuals in that footy team and how well they want to meld together as a group. And they look pretty tight, the Blues last night.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask you this question, Mal. Who would be fullback for Australia right now? Now, Reece Walsh has been talked about a lot. You've got an incumbent that's the skipper.
Hey, Jimmy, I'm not going to. I can't. I mean, I'm the Australian coach. I mean, I've just, at the moment, it's, I've got to stay. I've got to be very careful what I say now. So we're still game 3 to go. I mean, please, no more gloating. Just for the time being,
no.
we'll just get through.
Oh.
We'll get through this. But
But-
I'm not gonna publicly announce that because the way that the Blues played last night, that Dylan Edwards is going to be fullback. I'm never going to say that, mate. You know. So let's get through the series and let's get through the year before I start to make any decisions around who should be fullback for Australia.
I know, and you don't have to make that decision right now, but I was going to say Dylan Edwards was the best fullback on the field last night. James Tedesco is your captain.
Well, there's only 2 of them.
Yeah,
there's only 2 of them.
And then
so,
the other guy I'm going to throw in is Kalen Ponga, who's due to come back in round 20. And based on what he did at the back end of last year, he could do anything as well.
Well, exactly. So that's why you sort of fight with fire really when you start to. Well, this player should be. And I'm the Australian coach. I mean, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, listen, Dylan Edwards should be the fullback for Australia because the way he played last night and the way he's played in the past, of course, as well. So, we're gonna sit down the end of the year, make some judgments based on form and loyalty. Finals footy, I think, is really important with clubland. So we'll make all those decisions at the end of the year, Jimmy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I had a question about the Australian captain, but I'm just going to cross that.
Here we go.
I'll cross that one out.
Mate, it's 1-1 mate. It's 1-1.
I'm not.
And then all of a sudden, these players should be picked in the Australian team. Who should be captain? So seriously.
I just think it's food for thought, Mal. Food for thought.
Yeah, well, I've got plenty of thoughts, but I'm not going to feed you.
Never have I been more happy that you're in Canberra and I'm in Sydney. I don't think.
But I knew this was going to happen, mate. I've got these notes everywhere, just sticking everywhere. So, okay, be careful what you say.
Yeah, I know.